So they reburied it because it was considered so terrifying, whereas they took the other sculpture and placed it into the exterior of the cathedral.
I love that this was so terrifying that it had to be reburied and that it was only excavated much more recently.
No. The Coatlicue statue was not reburied because she was so terrifying. I still love you though, Smart History. The Coatlicue statue was reburied shortly after she was found in the late 18th century, but not because she was so terrifying. At least, not in that way. Let's back up for a moment to 1521, when the Spaniards toppled the Mexica, or the Aztecs. The Spaniards went on to destroy many Mexica artifacts, but miraculously, the Coatlicue statue was not destroyed, but instead buried at the edge of what became the Zócalo in Mexico City. Coatlicue, along with the sunstone, more commonly known as the Aztec calendar, was found over 2 centuries later when renovations were being made in the city. But why was the Coatlicue statue reburied after she was found, but the sunstone got to stay out in the sun? And who exactly is she? And why does the Coatlicue statue have so much gruesome iconography carved into her? You're gonna want to stick around to find out. This is a good one. Coatlicue, or snake skirt, is the mother. She's the mother of the patron god of the Mexica, Huitzilopochtli. She's also the goddess of childbirth, agriculture, fertility, life, and death. According to Mexica legend, one day, Coatlicue was sweeping the main temple on the Hill of Snakes, called Coatepec. She then found a bundle of eagle feathers, which she placed on her bosom, and miraculously, she became pregnant. Upon hearing the news, her daughter, the goddess Coyolxauhqui, became angry, as she didn't exactly believe the story about the unusual pregnancy and was embarrassed by it. So, Coyolxauhqui rallied her 400 brothers, the Sensonitznawa, to kill their mother. But plot twist! Just as Coyolxauhqui and her brothers were about to attack their mother, Huitzilopochtli was born, fully grown, and ready for battle. Huitzilopochtli decapitated Coyolxauhqui and then yeeted her down the mountain, leaving her body dismembered. And just for good measure, he threw her head into the sky, which became the moon. He scattered his brothers in all directions from Coatepec, and those who escaped went south. They now represent the southern stars that disappear after the sun rises during the winter solstice. The legend of Coatlicue is rich in symbolism, reflecting the Mexica worldview of the cosmic forces of life and death at work. So it makes sense that the Coatlicue statue has so much iconography carved into her that today may seem gruesome. But these carvings reflect the Mexica cycle of creation, destruction, and regeneration. The massive basalt statue has 2 serpent heads facing one another as a head. She wears a skirt of serpents and 2 sets of hands and hearts as a necklace. She's so densely carved that she even has carvings underneath her depicting the earth god Coatlicue. The statue is believed to have originally stood at the top of the Templo Mayor, or the Way Teocalli, in the sacred precinct. The temple, now destroyed, would have overlooked the basin of Mexico, and from the top, the volcano Iztaccíhuatl could be seen, where the sun would rise every year during the winter solstice. Given the symbolic and religious importance of Coatlicue in Mexica mythology, multiple statues or representations of her existed in various temples. Unfortunately, due to the destruction of many Mesoamerican artifacts during the Spanish conquest, the exact number and locations of other statues is unknown. After the arrival of the Spanish, the Mexica people possibly buried the Coatlicue statue in order to save her from certain destruction. She would be discovered in 1790 during city renovations. Thankfully, the Spanish viceroy at the time decided to preserve Coatlicue along with the Piedra del Sol. Coatlicue was placed at what was then the Royal and Pontifical University of Mexico at the edges of the university patio. At first, all people, including the Indians, were allowed to visit the statue, but then something unexpected happened. People would come and see the work of their ancestors, not once, not twice, but repeatedly. Dominican friar Benito Maria Mushoy y Francoli claimed that, quote, the statue reignited the poorly extinguished passion for idolatry among the Indian converts, end quote. In a letter, he wrote, quote, the visits of the Indians to contemplate their famous statue were repeated, visits that we accepted at first, since we saw nothing more than an incentive for national love in them, typical no less of savage peoples than of civilized ones, and to contemplate one of the most distinguished works of their ancestors. Later, we noticed that these visits hid a secret religious motive, and therefore we absolutely prohibited entry to the Indians. End quote.
That's right. The people came to see Coatlicue, their mother goddess, despite having been buried for over 200 years.
The friars in charge of the university were furious and, well, terrified by the people's devotion to Coatlicue. So, they closed the university patio to the public. But even this didn't deter people, as those determined to see her still managed to find a way to see their madrecita. Eventually, the friars decided to put Coatlicue in a wooden jail.
Yeah, a jail. Of course, the jail didn't work. So, what did they decide to do? Rebury her.
It wasn't until the famous Prussian naturalist Alexander von Humboldt visited Mexico City in 1803 that she was unearthed yet again so he could study her. She was buried yet again to prevent even more idolatrous worship. It wouldn't be until Mexico gained its independence from Spain that President Guadalupe Victoria ordered that she be unearthed for the final time in the 1820s. But then she was placed back in her wooden prison. This 1841 painting by Italian Pietro Gualdi shows the Coatlicue monolith in the courtyard of the university. You can spot her in that dark corner, imprisoned. Her very existence was deemed a crime. Eventually, Coatlicue was moved to the National Museum, and she's now at the National Museum of Anthropology and History, among other Mexica artifacts. And yes, people still come to see their beloved madrecita, Coatlicue, there.
Despite the Spaniards' best efforts to destroy the indigenous religion and any adoration for the mother goddess, the people still remembered her. It's no coincidence, then, that one of Coatlicue's iterations, Tonantzin, was revered on the hill of El Tepeyac, the same hill where the indigenous man called Juan Diego would see his madrecita, La Virgen de Guadalupe. If you want to learn more about La Virgen de Guadalupe and how she's a mestizaje or fusion of both indigenous and European elements, click here.